Did you know that some studies say as much as 80% of all data breaches are due to weak or stolen passwords? What if you could have your own password manager that didn't rely on any third-party services? Well, today, we're going to take a look at Vaultwarden. It's an open source password manager that runs on your own hardware. You can even run this on a Raspberry Pi running in your home. It's a great option for you, and we're going to set it up within Docker. We're going to integrate it with the official Bitwarden mobile app and the official Bitwarden Chrome extension. So let's jump right in. All right, for this project, I'm going to use a cloud server. You can actually use a Raspberry Pi for this. You can use your Proxmox server environment. Whatever you want to use will work just fine, but I'm just going to do this for the simplicity of it. So if we go out there, I've got the IP address that's been assigned to me. I'm going to go ahead and use that to be able to log into my instance. I've installed Docker, Docker Compose, and Portainer. We'll be using Portainer in this project. But if you don't want to use Portainer, that's fine. I'm going to have the command line for Docker, so you can do the docker up -d. I'll have that command down in the description below, along with the Docker Compose file and everything you'll need for this project. So let's go ahead and start out. What I've done is in Cloudflare, I've used the Cloudflare Zero Trust for tunnels. So I went in there and I went ahead and created a tunnel for this. If you don't know how to set up tunnels, there's a great video that I've got linked here that you'll be able to follow that'll set you up with tunnels and with access controls. So in here under networks, I have the following demo tunnel that I've set up. And if we go into that and take a look at and look at the public host names, I have vaultwarden.whatsnewandrew.dev. That's where we're going to place Vaultwarden and be able to connect to it with our mobile device, with the web interface, and with the Chrome plugin that we're going to put on. So we'll move over to Portainer. This is where I have the Docker Compose file all set. So just like other videos that I've done, I'll have the description below, but I like to work in Portainer because it's a little bit visually easier to follow along. So with this, the Vaultwarden will go out and get the latest image. We'll name it the container Vaultwarden. We're going to have it run unless stopped. You can change it to whatever you want. I'm setting it to port 8001 on this one. I didn't want to use port 80, but you can choose whatever you want. On the left side here, that's the port that you're going to access. You don't want to change the port on the right because that's what goes into the container. I'm going to use a container or a volume called Vaultwarden. You can do an absolute path here if you want, whatever makes sense for your setup. And then down here, there's a few things that you'll want to make sure you take care of. The admin token, that's going to be whatever you want to use to log into your admin instance of this. So you can go in and add users, you can make changes. This needs to be a long random character. So there's a command right here that we're going to use to go ahead and get that. We'll go ahead and do that just in the next step. But you also want to have the WebSockets enabled, set to true, and you want to have signups allowed equal to false, because you don't want to be letting folks just randomly sign up on your server. So we'll go ahead and set that to false. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and get this admin token. In Portainer, we'll add it down here. We have the actual name of it for the variable, and then we'll put the command or the token that we get back right here. So let's go ahead and do that right now. I have a Linux terminal open up here. All we need to do is paste that command. It's open SSL ran to get a random string of characters. It's going to be base 64, and we're going to get 48 characters. So if we hit return with there, easy enough. It gives us that random set of characters. We're going to copy that, and that's going to be what we put in down here as our admin token to be able to log into the admin web interface. So with that, we're done. Now, if you don't use Portainer, again, I'm going to have all this linked down below. I'll have the string that you'll be able to use to run this directly in the Docker command line there as well. So we'll scroll down a little bit. We'll hit deploy the stack here, and it'll go ahead and deploy it, and we're ready to go. So since I went ahead earlier, as I mentioned, and I set up the tunnels so that we could connect to it with right here, if I can get to it, so we can connect to it with the vaultwarden.whatsnewandrew.dev. We're going to actually go ahead and go to that and check it out. So let's click on this, and it takes us right in. So now we're ready to go. Now, the first time you log in, you need to create an account. So even though registration is not allowed, since it's the first time, it will let you create your first account. So you'll hit create account here, put in your information here. Make sure that this password is very strong and not something you're going to be using anywhere else. So it needs to be a really, really strong password. You can also set up two-factor authentication, which we'll go through. But I'm going to set all this up right now. I'll go ahead and fill this out, hit create account, and I'll meet you inside. Okay, one issue with this is I forgot is that the initial startup, you do need to set it up so that you can register. So if you hit create account now, you're going to get this error. So what we'll do is we'll go back to Portainer real quick. We're going to go to the stack and we are going to edit it and change signups allowed to true. And you want to do this just for the first run. So we'll go ahead and update the stack. And it's going ahead and starting. We'll refresh here. And now when we fill everything out, it'll let us register, but you're going to want to go back into it and reset that to false going forward because you don't want to let others be able to log in and create accounts. Okay, here we are. We're in Vaultwarden. We've got it all set up. There aren't any items in here because we haven't added anything yet. But what you've got the opportunity to do here is control all of your data. So this is hosted yourself on your own server. Maybe you have it on Proxmox in your home lab, or you have it on a Raspberry Pi, which this runs very well on Raspberry Pi, by the way. So if that's what you want to use, perfect option for it. One thing I do suggest you do right off the bat, go into settings under security and set up two-step login. So this is going to be your two-factor authentication like Google Authenticator, or you can use a hardware key like a YubiKey. If you want to get one of those, I'll have a link below on how you can order one of those. But authenticator apps and YubiKeys let you give that second version of authentication. So once you get through the password, you'll either be asked for that 6-digit code from the authenticator app. You'll put in the YubiKey, hit a button, whichever you choose will work perfectly, but definitely set that up to go along with it, with your login. So over on tools though, there's some great things over here. If you ever need to generate a password, you've got a password generator here where you can set up all the different parameters for it, the length of it and everything. You can import and export data. So if you're moving from one instance to another, it's easy to do that here. And then reports. This is a great way for you to go in to see, do you have any exposed passwords? And this will run it against all the passwords you have that you've added in here to see things that might be exposed already. If you've reused passwords, so as you're moving into this, you may realize that some of your passwords have been used over and over again. So you can use that. And then if you have any weak passwords, you can change that. So great different tools that you have to set up here. So next thing we want to do is we want to start adding users. So since you've disabled how to have other users logged in by putting false for that, allow others to register, we need to manually add them. So to do that, we're going to go to the admin console and go up to members. Now, one thing to catch before you do this is if you invite members and send them an email, it's not going to work yet because we haven't set up the email authentication. So let's go over to our admin panel. That's your URL/admin, which is what we have here. And it's going to ask for an admin token. So if you remember, that's the long token that we set up earlier when we were installing everything. So we're going to go over here and copy this and go to our admin panel and paste it in here, hit enter. And this is where you kind of get the back-end admin things that you want to be very careful about what you change in here. But one of the things that we do want to update here is the SMTP email settings. So go in here, you can set up whatever you have. Maybe you have something like Brevo, or you want to use your Google account to send emails. You can set all of that information up in here. And then that way, whenever this sends emails, say you want to share a password with somebody, or you want to get a new user register and get the email sent to them, it'll be able to use those settings. So make sure you set those up. And then what we can do over here on our members, when we go into the admin at the bottom and go up to members, is just invite a new member. So go in here, you can set up whatever role you want them to have. Maybe you have another person that you trust enough to be an admin, or they just want to be a user and you just want to set them up as a user. Put their email address in there and hit save. And they'll now have the ability to log in and create passwords. You can share passwords with them, and everything's ready to go for you to be able to have them on your organization should you want to add them to an organization. Okay, the next thing we want to look at is how can I use this with the Chrome extension? If you notice here, I have the Bitwarden Password Manager Chrome extension. This works perfectly with it. We'll say add to Chrome and go ahead and add extension. And once that's done installing, I'll show you how we set it all up. If you go up here to the top and you see it says Bitwarden Password Manager, we'll click on that. It's going to bring up a question for your email address. We'll put that in. That's whatever you registered with. And then this little drop-down menu here, you'll notice you've got a self-hosted option. We'll click on that and we're going to put in our URL, which is actually HTTPS, if I can type, :// and then it's vaultwarden.whatsnewandrew.dev or whatever the URL is that you use for your setup. We'll hit save, and now we're going to hit continue, and this will let us put in our master password. So put in whatever your master password is, go ahead and put that in, and then we'll be able to log in. And there we go. We're all logged in. We're ready to start adding passwords. If I wanted to, and I wanted to click on here and say a new password, we're going to call this new password from Chrome. Since we're using the extension, we're going to call username. Again, this one actually you can click on here and it'll generate a password. We're going to call it reckless. So we'll select that and we'll generate a new password for it. And it's going to be this funky looking password here. We'll hit select and I'll save it. And now it's saved, and I can go over to the web interface and we'll be able to see it over on the other side. And here we are. We've got it now. The new password is over here on Chrome. So we have the new password from Chrome. If I was to create a new one here called a new item, and we're going to call this new password. And the username is going to be Bob, just because I want to use the username Bob. We're going to hit a random password and hit save. And so now it's created here. It's asking us if we want to save that to Bitwarden with this little pop-up here. But since we're already on Bitwarden, we don't need to. It's going to save it. So if we go over here to our Bitwarden password manager, we'll go over to our vault and we'll look at the logins we have. And now we have the new password we just created and the other password they created from Chrome. So now we want to look at how do we set this up within the mobile app. So let's take a look at how to do that. Okay, now we're going to set up the mobile app. It's very similar to what we did with the Chrome extension. I'm going to use the phone here. And so we put in our address, whatever you use to register with Vaultwarden. We'll go down to self-hosted in the drop-down that's there. And at the top, you're going to want to enter the URL of where your Vaultwarden is hosted. And once you get that typed in, go ahead and hit save at the top right corner. And it'll take you back to the page that you were just on. We'll hit continue. And then enter your master password. Once you've entered that password, hit login, and it'll take you right into your vault with all of your passwords. And here you see the two passwords that you've already set up from before. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and create another password. So I'll just say the name is going to be mobile, because we're just going to make a mobile password. The username, I'm just going to hit the little spinning icon there and have it generate a username for me. I'll select that one. And then password, I'll also have it generate a password for me. And select that. And now as soon as I hit save, you see it pop up there on the screen with the web interface. So we'll also go over and take a look up in the Chrome extension. And if we go into our vault, we'll see now we have all three of those passwords that are there. The one that I just created on the mobile, the one that's created with the Chrome extension, and the original one we created. So it's a very easy way to set up your very own password manager. I hope you found this video useful. I hope now you can create your own password manager, not have to rely on any third-party services anymore for it. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already. And thanks so much to everybody who's already subscribed. I really appreciate all the support. I'll see you in the next video.